Do you think it's a dangerous word, equality? This word equality.
I approve of equality of opportunity, but I think that equality of outcome considerations are detestable and dangerous beyond belief.
Jordan Peterson has been one of the most controversial figures in modern debates, especially when it comes to feminism, equality, and gender roles. Love him or hate him, he's known for completely dismantling arguments with sharp logic and calm precision. Today, we're looking at 3 moments where Jordan Peterson absolutely shut down feminist arguments. This first moment is probably Jordan Peterson's most famous debate, his clash with Cathy Newman.
The gender pay gap stands at just over 9%. You've got only 7 women running the top FTSE 100 companies.
Yeah.
So it seems to a lot of women that they're still being dominated and excluded, to quote your words back to you.
She presses him hard on the gender pay gap, but watch how Peterson breaks it down step by step.
It does seem that way, but multivariate analysis of the pay gap indicate that it doesn't exist. There's multiple reasons for that. One of them is gender, but it's not the only reason. Like if you're a social scientist worth your salt, you never do a univariate analysis. Like you say, well, women in aggregate are paid less than men. Okay, well, then we break it down by age, we break it down by occupation, we break it down by interest, we break it down by personality.
Here, Peterson is pointing out something most TV hosts won't acknowledge. You can't just take one number and call it discrimination. He explains that women often earn less because they're more agreeable and less likely to demand raises, not simply because they're women.
So you're saying that by and large, women are too agreeable to get the pay rises they deserve?
No, I'm saying that that's one component of a multivariate equation that predicts salary. So one of the things that you do as a clinical psychologist is assertiveness training. I've had many, many women, extraordinarily competent women in my clinical and consulting practice, and we put together strategies for their career development that involve continual pushing, competing for higher wages, and often tripled their wages within a 5-year period.
After going back and forth on the pay gap, Cathy doesn't let up. She dives straight into the transgender debate, asking Peterson why he won't follow the rules on pronouns and if that makes his free speech more important than other people's feelings.
Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable. Ha, gotcha.
You have got me.
After shutting her down with the offense question, in this next interview, the discussion shifts to the idea of the patriarchy, the claim that Western society is a system of male dominance.
The fact that the vast majority of wealth is owned by men, the vast majority of capital is owned by men. Women do more unpaid labor.
A very tiny proportion of men, and a huge proportion of people who are seriously disaffected are men. Most people in prison are men. Most people who are on the street are men. Most victims of violent crime are men. Most people who commit suicide are men. Most people who die in wars are men. Where's the dominance here precisely?
He's basically saying you can't judge an entire system by looking at a few powerful men at the very top, while ignoring the millions of men struggling at the bottom.
What you're doing is you're taking a tiny substrata of hyper-successful men and using that to represent the entire structure of Western society. There's nothing about that that's vaguely appropriate.
Next, she tells Peterson that Western culture is nothing more than a male-dominated patriarchy.
That's not true. And even if it has a patriarchal structure to some degree, the fundamental basis of that structure is not power, it's competence. That's why our society works.
Once the patriarchy talk was over, the next debate was about identity politics. Peterson made it clear he's against quotas and that people shouldn't just be categorized by gender. He was then asked if that means women shouldn't be equally represented in powerful positions.
Let's talk about quotas for a minute. So there's a very wide array of jobs that are fundamentally done by men. So, for example,
Member of Parliament,
99.9% of bricklayers are men. Should we have quotas for women?
Is bricklaying representative democracy?
That has nothing to do with the question. The question is if there's evidence of structural inequality and oppression because women aren't precisely represented at 50% in all professions at all levels, then why don't we have a conversation about having women represented in all professions at all levels? Why do we talk about the C-suite, for example? Why do we talk about politics and positions of power? Why don't we talk about it across the board?
Here, Peterson is pointing out the double standard. If equality really means 50-50 representation everywhere, then why don't we demand women in every tough or dangerous job? not just the high-status ones. From the pay gap to the patriarchy to identity politics, Peterson's interviews have gone viral because he stays calm while breaking down arguments step by step. Whether you agree with him or not, his debates always leave an impact. Which of these moments hit hardest for you? Let me know in the comments.